Hi, welcome to the quiz. This very quiz can be done on quizalto.com, where you'll be able to get instant feedback with detailed answers and explanations. The link is in the description below. Quizalto has an extensive library of quizzes you can take for free, and we also have an impressive number of premium quizzes for more advanced levels. As you take quizzes, Quizalto helps you track your progress over time. If our quizzes are not enough for you, you can even create your own quizzes using AI, and they don't even have to be about AWS products. Okay, let's get started. Good luck. What is Red Hat OpenShift service on AWS? An on-premises OpenShift deployment. A hybrid cloud solution combining OpenShift and Azure. A self-managed OpenShift service on AWS. A fully managed OpenShift service on AWS. What is the purpose of the cluster version operator in ROSA? To handle node scaling. To monitor cluster health. To manage network policies. To manage cluster upgrades. How does ROSA handle container registry? Using Red Hat's Quay.io or AWS ECR. Through a self-hosted registry. Via GitLab container registry. Only with Docker Hub. What is the function of the ingress operator in ROSA? To configure load balancers. To manage routes and ingress controllers. To handle internal networking. To set up VPN connections. How does ROSA handle Node OS updates? Through third-party update services. Using AWS Systems Manager. Through Red Hat Enterprise Linux Core OS updates. Via manual updates by the user. What is STS in the context of ROSA? Secure Transport Socket. AWS Security Token Service. System Time Synchronization. Short-term storage. What is the role of the cluster authentication operator in ROSA? To configure LDAP integration. To manage API keys. To handle AWS IAM roles. To manage the OpenShift OAuth server. What is the purpose of the cluster storage operator in ROSA? To set up and manage storage classes. To configure storage quotas. To handle volume snapshots only. To manage storage encryption. Who manages the control plane in a ROSA cluster? Amazon Web Services alone. The customer. Red Hat and AWS. Red Hat alone. How does ROSA integrate with AWS identity services? Only through LDAP. Through custom identity providers. Via Kerberos. Using AWS IAM and OpenShift OAuth integration. What is the purpose of the Insights operator in ROSA? To handle performance monitoring. To send anonymized health data to Red Hat. To manage cluster analytics. To configure log analysis. What is the purpose of private link in ROSA? To handle load balancing. To enable public internet access. To manage DNS records. To provide private connectivity to the cluster API. How does ROSA ensure secure communication within the cluster? Via SSH tunnels. Using mutual TLS and network policies. Only through VPN. With IPsec. Which AWS service is used for ROSA's load balancing? AWS AppSync. AWS Global Accelerator. AWS API Gateway. AWS Elastic Load Balancer. Which service does ROSA use for cluster networking? OpenShift SDN. AWS VPC. Calico. Flannel. What is the role of the config operator in ROSA? To configure individual pods. To manage cluster-wide configuration. To handle network settings. To manage AWS resources. Which AWS service is used for ROSA cluster storage? Amazon Glacier. Amazon S3. Amazon EBS. Amazon EFS. How does ROSA handle cluster scaling? Manually by the administrator. Through Kubernetes horizontal pod autoscaler. Using OpenShift's built-in scaler. Using AWS auto-scaling groups. What is the primary purpose of the ROSA cost management service? To provide cost insights and optimization. To handle AWS billing. To optimize storage costs. To manage OpenShift resource quotas. Which AWS service can ROSA use for serverless computing? AWS Fargate, AWS Batch, AWS Lambda through AWS Service Broker, Amazon ECS. Which service can ROSA use for event-driven scaling? Only AWS Autoscaling. Kubernetes Horizontal Pod Autoscaler with AWS CloudWatch. Third-party autoscalers. OpenShift's built-in scaler. Which feature allows ROSA to integrate with existing AWS VPCs? AWS Direct Connect, AWS Transit Gateway, VPN connection, VPC peering. What is the role of the machine config operator in ROSA? To handle cluster networking. To manage node configurations. To manage user access. To configure storage classes. What is the primary benefit of using ROSA? Reduced operational overhead. Lower cloud costs. Faster network speeds. Greater storage capacity. How are ROSA clusters updated? Through managed updates by Red Hat. Through third-party tools. Manually by the customer. Automatically by AWS. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.